played a song called 72 Monte Carlo from our record. We released our debut record in August, self-titled. It's the Los Angeles League of Musicians.
Put it out through Verve Records.
Yeah, and that's a track from there. You got anything to say about that?
Yeah, we co-wrote it with our producer, that song, a gentleman named Elliot Bergman. And he helped us really evolve the sound on the record to what it came to. He really brought his vision, and we worked really hard together to get to the point where we got to on the record. I'm very happy with that.
I mean, it's such an interesting sound, and there's a lot to sort of unpack there, I think, just especially for European audiences as well. So tell me a little bit about how you got together and what kind of musical traditions feed into your sound.
Yeah, so we got together just from, needing to gig all around town, and I got a gig for us, and I needed a band, really. It was like, hey, put a night together, and I was like, oh shit, who should I call? And so I hit up Jake, and
Zach and I have been working together since we were teenagers, so we were looking for a way to keep it small, a trio at best, and so we needed a melodist, and the best guy I knew was Zach.
Me and Jake we've been playing a lot of, since we were about 16 or 17, playing a lot of rockabilly and more kind of stuff that's leaning towards country music and bluegrass and that kind of thing. Playing a lot of different groups that did that kind of stuff together. But yeah, when we started playing with Nick, his background's more in Afro-Cuban percussion stuff, and we just kind of started out by finding repertoire that worked well together. A lot of the first music we played was just kind of classic, Latin music from the 30s, mostly Mexican boleros and stuff like that.
Cuban stuff as well.
Yeah, a lot of Cuban music too. There was a group called the Lecuona Cuban Boys that we all really liked, and we're learning a bunch of their tunes. And
actually, the second song we played, Ghost of Gardena, was kind of built around the we were inspired, I think, a lot by Lecuona Cuban Boys.
Yeah, it definitely has that kind of sound. But yeah, we went from playing more background music kind of gigs to playing bars and playing in front of people and playing for dancers a lot. And that's when we started bringing in more cumbia and working out our arrangements of covers and writing stuff, and yeah, it kind of took off from there.
How do you like to write together? Because I mean, there are so many different ways one can approach this kind of music in terms of.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the best stuff that we play, of the original songs, it's stuff that kind of just came up from playing in front of dancers, and we try to keep stuff really kind of spur of the moment, really improvisational when we play. And sometimes I'll be playing a solo or something, and it'll turn into some little melody that I'll remember and we'll play next time, and
or sometimes live he'll find a riff that he likes, and because it's just the three of us, he can say, hey, do those chords again, or give me we've been playing together for so long that on a good night I can follow where he wants the melody to go.
I mean, what's this is a question for Nick actually. Tell me about the sort of foundational rhythms that kind of populate your music, if you like, because as you said, you've lent on some Cuban traditions, some Afro-Cuban traditions, and so on. What are the main kind of grooves that you're exploring?
Yeah, I mean, the first one I learned is a rhythm called tumbao, but you can add a lot of it, especially for what we're doing. That's the basic beat, but then I would say that there's three beats I kind of take from the most, and that's tumbao, Mozambique, and Wawonko, and those are all kind of three foundational rhythms of a lot of different Afro-Cuban music. And then of course the clave, which is holds everything together. So I'm always, within our music, there's definitely a clave in my head going throughout the whole song. And that depends. Sometimes it's a rumba clave, sometimes it's a 3/2 clave. kind of depends on the song. And then with a lot of cumbia though, it's kind of interesting because it's like there's sometimes like these reverse moments. But yeah, I would say.
Which is when it goes from a 3-2 to a 2-3. So it's a bit of like, yeah.
But it's all different types of claves and those three foundational rhythms.
I mean, you brought a really lovely guitar with you today. Let's hear a little bit about that, and then maybe about some of your other.
Yeah, it's a national Valpro 82, I think. Made in, the 82 is not the year, that's just the model number. I think it's from like around 1960 or between 60 and 62. Valpro was made by Valco. I guess Valco was the like parent company that had National, Supro, and what's the other one? An Airline, yeah. And yeah, it's like a fiberglass guitar. It's like two
Hollow
pieces.
body.
It's hollow in the middle, and it has all these knobs on it that were supposed to do something at some point, but they don't work anymore. So I just have a volume knob. And yeah,
It had a capacitor that would darken the tone to pretend like you had different pickups, but we just shorted all of that.
Yeah. There was a whole thing of that, wasn't there? Like when the Telecaster came out, it had that rhythm circuit, which was basically just like a really dark, muddy.
Yeah.
sound. Yeah.
this guitar is pretty dark and muddy sounding. I usually like when I play through a Twin or Deluxe, which are pretty bright amps, I'll put the treble like all the way up or close to it. So that could, yeah, and that's kind of what makes the guitar sound bright enough because it's pretty dark.
I mean, some of your more recent videos, or at least the videos I've personally seen more recently, I've seen you like play a Jaguar, I think, like a block.
Yeah, I've got a Jaguar as well. I'll play sometimes. I like the tremolo bar on that. And then I play this one that's a K from around the same time, like 1960, K Style Leader, and that's my like second favorite guitar.
Yeah, it's rewarding to see people so engaged with instrumental music. I think one of the things that we're bringing that the other groups maybe are less focused on is we bring sort of a dance concert, whereas a lot of the other instrumental bands, which is fantastic, bring more of a groove and a vibe, and people can move to it. But because we're so much of our sound is originated in the cumbia and chicha stuff, that it's a dance party that we